Neuropsychiatric symptoms of dementia, also known as behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia, are extremely common. People often experience more than one symptom, and they can worsen over time. Symptoms can include anxiety, depression, agitation, apathy, socially inappropriate behavior, psychosis, sleep disturbances, and more. These symptoms can be incredibly challenging and can often lead to social isolation due to stigma. Our expert conversations with a clinician, family caregivers, and those living with Alzheimer's disease aim to shake the stigma of talking about NPS, to help you create a care plan and get the support you deserve.
So my mom, her name is Rebecca, and when she was in her mid-40s and I was in my teens, she started experiencing what we learned years later was early-onset Alzheimer's disease. And I have two older sisters, so we took different times being closer to home, and I actually lived with my mom kind of as she went from the earlier stage to more middle and late stage Alzheimer's. And so just kind of being on this journey with her through my teens and 20s and kind of in my early career, and then her being kind of younger onset, it was really it was challenging and confusing. And there were a lot of things she experienced that I just wouldn't have known were associated with Alzheimer's disease. And there were just so many nuances to like how to, I guess, understand what she was experiencing and like what she needed from us to feel safe or feel grounded, I guess, in what was real. I've, for the last 7 years, been building a company that helps educate caregivers about what it's like to go through different kinds of aging-related issues. And this was, of course, like stemmed from my experience with my mom's Alzheimer's. And there were so many points in caring for her where I was trying to understand what her experience was like that could be causing her to respond to me or the world in the way she was. And I actually brought with me these glasses. And so when my mom needed more help than like what I could give, or my dad, I helped hire home health aides to work with her. And she happened to have a left visual field deficit. So what that meant was like basically her brainstem on the right side was atrophied. So it caused the left halves of her visual field to be like basically blocked off. So that's a mouthful what I just said, but if we put on these goggles, we could see what my mom was seeing. And so what that meant for her care was to remember to like walk on this side of her body because she would run into doorways or it was where she had poor balance. And if we were going to approach her so that she wouldn't get startled, we would remember to come from the right side. And then like at mealtime, she would eat exactly half of her plate of food because she couldn't see it. So we would remember to rotate the plate and then she could finish what she was eating. And I loved how like this connected us not only to what she was seeing so that we could understand and be empathetic, but we could take action and like remember like with our own memory what my mom's experience meant for her care. What always kind of was in my mind was, could we take something like the goggles, but could we like push that further? Like, you know, just was like crazy thought was like, what if we could practice a conversation as though it was happening in real life? And so in my master's program, we had to do a research project. I told my professors, like, I want to recreate what someone who has Alzheimer's is seeing and experiencing and feeling so that caregivers can embody that and have better tools and understanding in their care. Unbeknownst to me, that became now what's today our company, Embodied Labs. And so we founded this company where we recreate experiences from the first person in a way that's informed by like interviews with people living with the things that we're recreating, with caregivers, with the medical experts that are on their care teams. I was very excited about like how to explain neuropsychiatric symptoms, especially in the early stages of Alzheimer's, because to me that was like the biggest gap that I was missing when I was a caregiver. And so in the first experience that we made, I helped co-write like this kind of story and script with different characters, and we call it the Beatrice Lab. So we kind of play with all the senses of sight, sound, touch. How can an immersive world give us more of a visual vocabulary for things that are hard to explain, or maybe if they're written down in words, don't quite integrate into like, well, what does that really mean when it plays out in somebody's life experience? So one of the things that we recreated in this immersive experience that was also something that like I saw a lot in my mom's experience was that if a room got too crowded, or there were too many people talking at once or too many things going on, she would get very overwhelmed, and sometimes it would like trigger her to get agitated. It just was like an interesting way to like take something I saw happening to my mom and put it into a context that through her perspective can give people these aha moments of like, oh, like maybe, maybe the way I sound or look or something that wouldn't stress me out normally would be impacting this person in a different way. She would be very proud of what my sister and I built. It's great to build something that represents like who she was when she was healthy, and it's great that she's like, we're not always defined by like a disease or just a tagline of being a caregiver or a patient or someone with a diagnosis. I think the values of the company we've built are very much reflective of her own values and kind of what she raised us to care about.